Girl therapy. About too much. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
It's so glad to be back.
So glad to be back. I'm so happy you're here again.
Me too. I'm
It's
excited.
been so long.
I know. It's been too long.
Way too
I
long.
don't see you enough.
I don't. We need to see each other more.
If COVID wasn't a thing.
I know. All right, right. Hold on. I'm like crying. I don't know why it's like wet underneath my eyelid.
It's just moist.
Okay, just it's
It's
a
not
wop.
like crying. I think it's just
a-
like it's a wop. It's a wet
It's
ass part. It's a wet ass like yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi guys, it's me, Stefanie Maegan, your host of BROKEGIRLTHERAPY. Therapy. And guess the fuck what?
What?
Rose all day.
This is so weird, but I forget that you can actually sing. Because I know
What?
some people that like, no, you're a
Was
great
that-
singer,
Oh,
but like I
thank you.
forget that you can sing. So when you sing, I'm like,
You're like, oh wait, that's on like on. That was like not even. That was like very nasally.
I know, but it's still like, look, I can't carry a tune to save my life. But it's like when celebrities that do carpool karaoke with James Corden and James Corden can sing and they're like, Jennifer
Like,
Hudson is
whoa.
like, what?
I always kind of looked at like identified with that because I was like, okay, I guess I am like a talk show host.
Yes.
But then like so happen could sing. You know what I mean?
And like usually that's like a thing, especially if you come from like that late night world. James Corden doesn't come from SNL, but like that SNL, like you can sing, you can dance, you can do everything. And so it's like when you sing, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. You're talented in so many ways.
Oh, thanks, Rose.
You're welcome. It's true.
That was so nice.
are.
I'm like very critical on my singing voice. I like.
Oh,
I,
really?
Like because I'm very critical on like singing in general.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because it's like I would like sing in the church choir and all that. So I just been loving that. Honestly, singing was my first passion.
I love that.
Yeah.
Is it like one of those things that if you weren't doing this, you would be...
I'd probably be doing music if I wasn't scared.
Oh, I feel you.
But I'm scared. I don't know. I don't think I make. But honestly, I don't know. I just never really like put my full in.
I feel
should I
that.
do a
That's how I feel about men's
Should I do
tailoring.
a mixtape?
You should totally do a mixtape.
I mean, I did one with Morgan.
You should do a mixtape.
That doesn't
I didn't
count,
say,
though.
who the hell is Morgan? I didn't say Morgan. I said
Satowski.
you should do. No, I don't know. Still, I don't know her. No, I think you should totally do a mixtape. I love that idea.
I would only want to do it with someone with a producer that's a good, because I would, if I'm ever going to release music, like my own like music, I would want it to actually be good. I'm not gonna just like release a song. You know what I mean? Like I would want to work with someone who's really talented.
Any producers listening, my girl got a voice. She got vocals. You
Yeah.
got tracks so she can
You got
lay them down? Come on.
But someone would have to do like the, I don't know. I would have to like work with someone to
Think about
be
it.
able
I think
to
it would be
feel-
fun.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll put
You'd
that
be
on my
good at it.
list.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
It's like how, so if I wasn't
There's
a
a-
writer, I'd be a teacher. And if I wasn't a teacher, I wanted to do men's tailoring.
Why men's tailoring?
I just love men's fashion. I just love like a well-tailored.
You
I
do
think
love,
that's-
like, I mean, your
I
pants.
know, my pants, my fuckboy pants and my fuckboy shirt. It's totally a thing. But like, I mean in like actual like men's
You would
fashion.
take, like, would you be designing or would you?
I would want to be a tailor. Like I
Oh,
would want to
wow.
learn how to like, I think I got that from my
You
dad.
could still do it, whatever.
I know. I think I'm gonna do that as like my next career. Like I want to be I want to write a cookbook. I want to like teach, and then I like want to tailor like men's clothing. Like my dad he's always the best dressed man in every room.
Really?
He's amazing fashion sense. My dad has great
wow.
style. My mom does too. But with like, I don't know. I just feel like there's so many. I just feel like men don't have as much freedom in fashion, unfortunately. But yeah, I just always love men's fashion. I just would love, I don't know, something about that is just so sexy and amazing to me.
Yeah.
I love a
Should
well-tailored
do
suit.
it. I think in life we don't have to stick to one career. We could
No,
always do
we
a
can do
million
anything.
things. Yeah. Especially as a creative, we kind of want to have different outlets to express our creativity.
We have to
You know,
find
like I
those,
have
yeah.
this, and then I also like music. You know, and I do that too. You know what I mean? So it's just we have different ways that we feel like we need to like express ourselves.
Yes, and it's good for your mental health.
And that's what we're talking about today. And my email just
Interrupted us.
interrupted
These
us.
Zoom calls I've had where someone's like phone chimes or their email chimes, and it's like,
Right. I'm just like,
I hear every other. It sounds like they're cussing because they're like, it just gets beeped out by their chimes.
Right.
It's really funny. But anyways,
Anyways, we're here to talk about mental health. And I'll
Yeah.
be honest, I'm a little nervous to talk about this
okay. Why do you feel nervous?
because
We talk about sex, which a lot of people get
and I'm not
about.
nervous to talk about my fucking WAP, like at all. Like I'm not. But when it comes to like mental health, it's something that's been really tricky, and that's what I've been going to my therapist, you know, to kind of work through, and like why it's so difficult for me to talk about. Like I could talk about it to a certain extent, but there's like certain things that like trigger me.
Yeah, I feel you.
And I think it's because I have a lot of people in my family that suffer heavy with like mental health.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it like, and then I've seen a lot of shit happen because of their mental health.
Yeah.
That's really just been like traumatizing, you know? Yeah. So I've just seen a lot of things in my life that have, from people who were struggling from mental health, that really like, there's a part of my 20s that's, I realize is really blacked out. Because it was like traumatic.
Heavy. I feel you. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The first half of my 20s. Ooh, the worst. I don't remember a lot of it.
Yeah. And that's a symptom of, you know, dealing with certain trauma. Like we just try not to.
You bury it. Which is also not healthy.
It's not.
But yeah, you try to forget about it. And I feel like sometimes mental health is very interesting. I'm a huge advocate for it. I talk about it. I'm very public about my own mental health. I suffer from depression. I also was diagnosed as bipolar in 2014 after a horrific breakup.
The breakup that you mentioned.
Yes, the breakup that I mentioned the last time that I was on the podcast doing my Q&A. I'll bring it up now. I am very open about this. With my own right, I committed myself to a psych ward. Like I was like, I need help. Like I really got to a point where nothing was working. And I was extremely suicidal. And it wasn't just like the breakup. It was kind of just like my life in general. I was 24. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was still living at home with my parents. My mother had just been, had cancer, and then she was cancer free and dealing with that trauma. And then issues with my father. Me and him were not getting along. He has his own, I get my depression from him genetically. And so it was just like a lot. My sister and I hated each other. So it was like a lot happening in the summer of 2014. And then I had a nervous breakdown, like full blown psychosis, nervous breakdown. And I went to my therapist, and my therapist was like, I think you should check into a psych ward, or just, a facility basically. Right. And my mom and I joke about it, and we call it summer camp because I was like there for like, June, July, August. Yeah. Whoa. I was there for 4 months. It was they keep you for 72 hours. I think it's only 48 in California, but in, I think it was 48. I stayed overnight. So 48 hours. I was, they observe you, make sure you're okay. No, if you're not going to self-harm once you're released. And then it became an outpatient program. And I went there literally like it was a job. And I just went there every single day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And we did group therapy. We did sessions and individual sessions. My parents came in. They did a family thing that was like really cathartic but really hard. There I was diagnosed as bipolar from, trauma of, I was in a really bad car accident in 2010. Oh. And so
was it like a genetic thing? It was like because of it was like a PTSD?
I had PTSD. I was diagnosed with PTSD in 2010 because I was hit by a drunk driver. And anyone who knows me knows I'm sober. Yeah. So that tackled my whole
being sober.
So
that's why you're sober.
No, I've been sober my whole life.
Okay.
I kind of actually made the decision when I was 14. I was like, I just don't want to drink. Because alcoholism runs rapidly in my family. I grew up in an Irish bar. I watched alcoholism, and it's not as cute as people think it is. So I just decided, I was like, I'm just gonna be sober. And then I was in a really bad car accident. Drunk driver hit us, fled, then tried to come back and get his car, which I thought was really funny. He was
How old were you?
I was 20.
Oh, shit.
So I wasn't even 21. I was 20. I was in the hospital for only a day. It wasn't nothing too crazy, but they were like, you're going to have some head trauma. I had a really bad concussion. And
I didn't know any of this, Rose.
Oh, yeah. No, oh my God, don't apologize. It happens, life happens. So that's when I was first diagnosed with PTSD. But when I was 16, I was diagnosed with depression. And it was explained to me, which is depression, there's many types of things with mental health, but a lot of people, we talk about breaking the genetic trauma within generations, right? That whatever is passed down.
Right.
And my brain just doesn't release serotonin as much as the normal brain. And they know that if you have a family member who's depressed or suffers from depression, it's very likely the kids might actually inherit that.
Right.
It was also really shown in a lot of, there's a great book that talks about it. I can't think of the name of it right now. Oh, come to me. But it talks about mothers who were pregnant during 9/11 and their kids being born with post-traumatic stress. Like, I think that's like in Euphoria, like Rue, the main character, Zendaya, who won the Emmy.
Right.
I'm so proud of her. Like, I know her. I don't know her. I want to know her. But she won an Emmy, and her character was, like, I think, born on September 11th. And they talk about how, like, you know, this generation experiences it, anxiety very differently just because of, like, everything. So it was passed on.
So crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I battle with depression and being bipolar. Anxiety is a very interesting thing because I have moments where I can have like what can be stereotypically called an anxiety attack, but it's very weird because I don't deal with anxiety as much as like this like cliche way people think about anxiety. When you're bipolar, what it means is that you're like you have high highs, like super like this is the
Like
greatest
manic
feeling.
moments.
Yes. Fun fact, Kanye West and I have the same form of bipolar. There's two types. There's bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. Kanye and I have the same. We're also not the same. I also don't know what it's like to, one, be a pop star, let alone a black man in America. So, like, we're very different.
Very, yeah.
However, if you look at Kanye, you know, when he has his high highs and he's like, I'm releasing all the music, and it's like, everything's great. And then, like a light switch, there's no down. There's no, like, transcend. You just immediately become depressed. Like, the next day you wake up and you're like, this is the low, like, I feel like shit. I hate myself. I hate the world, you know, and you just kind of, like, just go in these really, really low things. So it's just like there's just the two worlds. There isn't a middle ground.
Right.
And so it's really hard sometimes to get the middle ground. So yeah, I get why people are so nervous about talking about mental health because we talk about it a lot in the mainstream, but we don't know what we're talking about most of the time.
Exactly.
And I think it's funny because there's so many people that are like, you know, I mean, this is like no shade, but, you know, you got to be careful where people are like, I have anxiety. And it's like people who really suffer from anxiety are like, I don't want to tell anyone.
Right, exactly. Like, this is not something that we want to put out to the world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not cute. Everyone can have a panic attack.
Yeah.
Panic attacks are very common.
Very.
And depression is also very common.
But to suffer from panic attack, like,
Yes.
it's completely different.
Like, to be, like, so shut in you can't even leave your house, like to be so consumed by that. I also think that mental health needs to be talked about more, in particular with like COVID and the pandemic, because we don't know. We know what happens when someone contracts COVID, but like as a society to just know that like, oh my God, 1 million people have died of this disease. It's like, that's a lot of trauma to hear. We're experiencing a lot of trauma being in this pandemic. We're experiencing a lot of like weird things in our brains that we can't touch people.
Right.
We can't see the people we normally see. And it's hard. It's heavy.
It is hard. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously you've expressed this millions of times before. You're in a relationship.
Yes.
So how do you think, like, how do you communicate with your partner when you're going through something, and what does he do to make you feel better? Like, how do you guys kind of communicate, like, this is, you know, who you are, and this is how you just manage the relationship because of it?
I told him very early on, because like I said, in the long distance relationship, we had to like get over very early on things. In my last relationship, the one that kind of like broke the straws back when we broke up, he was cheating on me constantly, and he was manipulative, and it was really toxic. And he has his own, like, now he you know, goes to a therapist and is working on his own demons and everything, and I haven't like forgiven him, but I'm like, you're human, you know. But he would always tell me like, you're not depressed, like he would just downgrade. He's like, you don't have nothing to complain about,
Like, just get over it.
It's fine. Like, and I get that, I completely understand that, because
Ooh, gotta hit home.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yeah, I'm like tearing up. I don't know why I'm tearing up.
Because this is hard. This is hard to talk about. This is heavy shit, you know?
I should have brought tissues.
Oh my God, do I have tissues? I usually am. Here, you want my shirt?
No. I won't do that to you.
How many patterns can I bring into the show? Jesus Christ. Also, can people see me because it's a camouflage shirt? No, just kidding. Sorry. See, you got to use humor. You got to use humor when you talk about mental health. But it's like, you sure it's clean. So I just washed it. So go ahead. You're totally fine.
Okay, continue.
I do look like your country bumpkin like boyfriend right now. This is cray.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
But it's hard to talk about. And, you know, it's hard to articulate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think this is like one of those things though that like it's really cool and amazing to see other people be so open about it. I have a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine who I love deeply and dear.
Jeez, I'm really like...
Yeah, no, cry, boo. That's okay.
I need to blow my nose.
Yeah, do you want to blow your nose in my shirt? You totally can.
I don't want to blow my nose on your shirt.
That's fine. Think of it as a handkerchief. I gotta wash it again.
It's just like going in my nose. I just want to like wipe it. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll wash it and then I give it to you next time.
Girl, it's a Timberland shirt. Do whatever you want. I paid it for $1. I bought this shirt for $1. Thrifting.
Okay.
Thrifting actually really helped me through my mental health. That's a weird thing. Yeah, I loved thrifting. It was just like something I could do and just like zone out.
You're right. When I was really depressed a few years ago, I was like thrifting off. Like, yeah.
Because shopping sprees, like retail therapy is a real fucking thing, but I'm not trying to like ball out. Like I just want to go to the thrift store and like the hunt of it.
Yeah, exactly. Where you're just focused on like trying to find something cute. So you're
digging. It's a task and you're doing the same motion over and over again. So you're like zoning out. Yeah. It's why people get into knitting or calligraphy or like something that's just like the same motion over and over again to just like calm you down. But yeah, it's like, so I have a really good friend of mine who's so opinionated. I love her. She's loud. She's an actress. She's goofy. She's just like so opinionated. And I did a Twitter thread about when Kim Kardashian came out with a statement about Kanye's being bipolar. And I was like, well, he's not medicated. Like, you know, we need meds. Like people who are bipolar, we do need meds. They do help mood stabilizers. I do take meds. I have a mood stabilizer. I'm also me and my psychiatrist have like I love her and we have a tight relationship because she knows I hold my sobriety so dear to my heart. Mm-hmm. She's like, we don't have to take this medication because it has these side effects, you know? And I'm very like, so we have like a good relationship. But my friend, she like DM'd me and, you know, she was like, I love you. And I actually just got diagnosed as bipolar too, but I could never tell anyone. And I was like, but you're an actress. Like, you're loud. You're goofy. Like, you're so amazing. Like, it's okay. And she was like, no, I couldn't. I'm embarrassed by it. And I like clicked in my head where I was like, oh, yeah, we do live in a culture where people feel safe to talk about it. But people still feel unsafe to share it, too.
Because they don't want to be looked at a certain way.
Exactly. And there are times, I was in a writer's room once where someone was like, oh, it's almost like they're bipolar. And I kind of let them say it, and then I was just like, they don't know I am. And I just kind of like rolled it off my back. But I understand why people get offended by that, or like, ugh, or like some people don't like the word crazy because like the connotation of it and stuff. And as someone who, you know, has been called crazy just because I'm a female, it has nothing to do with my mental health, you know, but like,
because you're a female with feelings.
Yes, exactly. But like, let's be honest that, you know, there are a lot of crazy men out there. There's a lot of crazy humans. But yeah, there's this like weird thing where people are open about their mental health, but like you don't know if it's genuine or not. So then I feel like some people just don't feel safe sharing it as well too.
So they don't want to be looked as like, oh, I'm looking for attention type of shit.
Yeah, because I do think in this world, I think we are over medicated. I think we are overdiagnosed, and then I think we're like deeply silenced as well too.
Yeah.
But to answer your question about and now I realize because we were talking about this, my shirt distracted me and all these patterns. But in a relationship, so I'm in a relationship right now with someone, and one of the things that I was very open about with Anthony was. This is going to get really personal, so if anyone's like, I guess this is like a trigger warning. I was a victim of rape before I met Anthony. It was a really shitty situation. I'm still trying to process it. Some people are probably amazed that I'm not crying right now, but it's a lot of
Yeah, I'm
therapy.
over here, yeah.
No, it's okay. Thank you. Thanks, boo. I love you.
All this shit just makes me cry. That's why I haven't talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
I can't like talk without crying.
No, it's okay. Sometimes though, you just
So
need
you
to cry.
just talk, I just cry.
Oh my God. This is the Rose Takeover show. Great. Took over the questions last week. But no, it's okay. Do you want to stop? Or?
No.
Okay, you feel good? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm here for you.
Because this topic is so important. It's something that I've always wanted to talk about.
Yeah. It's scary. I read once where mental health is the monster with no face. And I just like really liked that image because, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what my depression looks like.
Yeah.
If I was in a crowded room, I wouldn't be able to point it out.
Right.
And that's a very poetic way of thinking of it, but it's a very concrete way.
Yeah.
But I love you and I'm here for you.
I love you too.
I feel you.
I think it's just hard because it's like, ooh, fun.
Yeah.
Let's use this.
Go ahead. Use my Timberland shirt. It's great.
Timberland shirt.
It was $1. It was.
I mean, obviously, I think every single one of us at one point have some sort of trauma or mental, issues that we're all suffering with.
Absolutely.
At some point in our life, we will face that head on.
Yes.
And I too definitely have gone through depression and all that stuff. From what I know, I don't have a disorder, but I have family that's so close to me, and I don't want to reveal who it is just for the sake of privacy.
And that's fair.
Who are diagnosed with shit. It's all right.
No, it's okay. I got you, boo.
It's like the hardest thing to talk about. It's like one of like I can talk about anything.
Yeah.
But when I talk about family and mental, like it fucks with me. And that's why I'm in therapy.
Yeah, and it's okay. Therapy's amazing. Isn't it amazing though? It feels good, right?
Yeah, because like it's funny because my last session, I was talking about boys, and she was just like, we need to stop talking about boys. She's like, you do this, you talk about dating and boys because you're trying to avoid.
Yep. I know what you mean.
Like the real issue.
I hide behind humor.
Yeah.
Hard to believe. Isn't that hard to believe? What? What do you mean? She uses humor to like deflect conversation like I'm doing right now.
I know.
And
yeah.
It's okay.
She's like, from what everything I've told her about my life, she's like, just from a very young age, I looked at finding love to run away from like all the shit that I was dealing with, at home and stuff and with my family. So it was like I got so addicted to like dating.
Yeah.
All that stuff. So she was like, we're not talking about boys anymore. You have your show to talk about boys.
I love that she set that boundary for you,
right.
though. That's beautiful.
She's like, you got your friends. She's like, of course, if you want to talk about it, there's like certain things you really need to talk to me about. We'll talk about it. She's like, but I think, you're paying all this money. Let's actually talk about the real issues.
Right. Let's like crack
So
past the facade.
she'll like bring up, certain shit. And so I have family that are diagnosed with bipolar. A lot of people in my family, and someone specifically is schizophrenic.
Yeah,
so it's like
that's heavy.
And it's not really talked about,
within
like,
your family.
Well, just in general, schizophrenia is not something that's like.
Oh, people use it as a joke. People think
it's
funny.
People think it's so funny, and I've seen all these jokes and whatever, and like it's just like it's heartbreaking because it's like I've seen like what that does to somebody, and being, so like young and not understanding like what this person's going through.
Yeah.
I just thought like, oh, he's just weird.
Right. He's just crazy.
He's just a little crazy. It's fine.
That's just so and so.
And then just like things just started piling up and piling up and piling up, and that's a lot of shit that like I've blacked out.
Yeah.
On my mind that I'm trying to like, we gotta face that. We gotta face it. And and just also like normalize it.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I think that's why it's like I get so sad, is because it's like I feel bad for this person.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad that they like damn, like it could have been me, but it's this person.
Oh yeah, you're like a luck of the draw, genetic lottery,
right? Exactly.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Genetic lottery. I did end up with it, and so it's hard to see someone you really care about just go through all the episodes. And when you're schizophrenic, it doesn't hit you. You don't start showing symptoms until early adult years.
Mm-hmm.
So you go through your whole life seeing this person is just a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've always had anger issues, though. They've always had. I think that's the bipolar. It was like the mood was always just very.
It's that
extreme,
one or the other.
Extreme.
You just have those two
very
emotions.
Very extreme.
Yeah.
And so I've had to deal with that my entire life. And then as we got older and obviously started showing signs,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't understand what schizophrenia is, because I'm not going through it. This is not talked about.
Yeah.
And it was just really traumatizing to kind of like go through, you know what I mean? And like with schizophrenia, like, God, I can't believe I'm talking about this.
No, it's okay. You can stop at any point, boo.
I think it's important though, because I've actually always told myself like I've always wanted to do something in that community.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe someone else is going through it too, so they know what it's like.
Someone's going to hear this and they're going to that's the thing that's really powerful and amazing about this platform and the beautiful community you have is someone's going to hear this and be like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one.
And it's like, and I have, throughout time have been open about it with certain people.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've realized like, oh shit, this is actually very common.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times people worry about those who do have mental illness, but we also don't realize the people too that have to see the person they care about go through it.
Yeah.
And what that does to you,
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think it's important to talk about both sides, where you talk about, owning up to being bipolar.
Yeah.
And then someone who's been around a lot of people in my life who are bipolar and try to understand it, because no one's teaching me at a young age. And again, these people probably didn't even know they were bipolar. You know what I mean? Because it was just not normalized back then.
Oh my God. And when you find out, you're like, oh, that explains
oh,
so
okay.
much.
That explains why
X, Y, and Z happened.
and why I am the way that I am.
Yes. And I think it's also
And
really...
Yeah.
It's just, I just wanted to add to that point that it's just really important. You were like, I haven't been diagnosed, but I think sometimes the thing that we need to realize, especially as someone who is bipolar, is I really am thankful and amazing. I'm really thankful that I have such an amazing friends and family, but they suffer just as much, if not twice as bad as me. Like, I know what's wrong with me. Like, I know when I'm having things, but like, there are times where I realize where I'm like, oh, my mom suffers. Like, to see her daughter have like a low and like she just like doesn't know what to do, and she just like is like, and that's how you are with your the family member you have, where it's like it's hard to watch, and in a weird way, like, you guys have the harder job, I think, because when I'm on my high, I'm like, what? Everything's fine. And I'm just like, I'm up. Like, why is everyone else crying? And I'm not aware of the like shitstorm I just created, or I'm not aware of the like trauma I just put on my family, and it's hard. It's so hard. Like, I feel like people forget that, it's kind of like when you love someone who's addicted or who's an addict, and it's like, the family suffers just as much.
Yeah.
To watch someone.
And there's even like
crumble.
groups for people who like have loved ones who are addicts.
Oh, Al-Anon, all that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I just like, and it's, I know all about all those things. But yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
It's hard.
Yeah. I'm still working on it. I will like cry and I will try to stop myself from crying. My therapist is like, nope.
That's like,
Why are you crying? Let's talk about it. How are you feeling? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like therapist type questions. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about this. I just want to talk about Chris or something. Or Morgan. Like, let's just talk about Morgan real quick. He's a narcissist, right? Let's talk about that.
But then you're like,
and she's like, no, that's not the problem here.
No, yeah, it's not.
Morgan's not the problem here.
No.
He's got his own set of problems.
He is a problem. But like you know what I mean? Like we don't have to worry about that right now.
Exactly.
But it is really, it's hard because like you said though, that whole idea that everyone in their life will have something traumatic happen to them, and everyone in their own life will be met with something that they have to go through. You got to do it head on. Like my mom always said, if you're going through hell, keep on walking. Just keep on walking.
Yeah.
You know, don't stop. Don't get distracted. Just keep on walking.
Yeah.
And that's what this is, you know, and sometimes we stall ourselves with the humor or with the boys. Like we use the thing to stop ourselves. And then we're like, wait, why are we still in hell? Like I thought I used escape. No, I thought it was good. I thought it was a trick door. I thought I could jump ahead.
Why am I sad?
Yeah. Why am I sad? And you're like, oh, that's right. Because I didn't address the actual
We've been
problem.
blocking it. We've been suppressing it. We've been scared to talk about it because it triggers something.
Yeah.
You know, but like let the triggers happen.
Yes, let them. I understand that like millennials are famous for their like trigger warnings, and like I get why they're important sometimes in these things, but sometimes you have to within yourself have to just like be triggered to kind of enlighten yourself, to educate yourself, and to have a moment of breakthrough.
Right.
It's hard.
It's like going through a breakup.
Yeah. You just gotta go. You gotta go through the ups and downs. You gotta
like I'm like good at like getting over breakups. They're hard, but I'm like so much better at getting over breakups. It's like I feel like more in control of getting over breakups, but to get over certain traumas,
that's hard because you're
I'm
dealing
like,
with
like the reason why all of this shit is happening. You know what I mean? Like the core problems, not just like, oh, this dude just left. Like, okay, people come in and out of your life.
But then you're like, oh wait, this tax is abandonment issues. What does that have to do with anything?
Exactly. Why do I have what does abandonment issues look like? Yeah. And I definitely have abandonment issues.
And that's fine and normal.
Yeah.
It's how you deal with it. It's how you by yourself process it, and how you shouldn't allow anyone to weaponize it. You know what I mean? Like some people would be like, well, fuck you got daddy issues, or fuck you, you know, you got abandonment issues. It's like, don't let them do that to you, because then that just shoves the problem back further in the closet, and just kind of are like, I'm going to come to terms with it. And in a weird way, and this is going to sound very hard, and it is hard, reclaiming it, where it's like, I do have abandonment issues, but that's okay. Right. So when I act like this, oh, that's just my issues tagging at me. Okay, then okay, I'm good. Like, it's not like I'm creating this problem, or, oh, okay, this is what I'm hitting up against.
Right. Yeah, I think once you understand, like, why you have these certain issues, like abandonment issues or commitment issues.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, and I feel like the one thing that I'm really learning about with myself is my attachment style.
We were talking about this.
And I think it's important to know what your attachment style is. Because once you know and understand it and educate yourself and why you have these attachment styles, is like
everything, it just like
it
breaks
like
through. Yeah, it just everything makes sense. Like, oh, okay,
that's why I was behaving like that. You know what I mean? Like,
you're like, oh, okay, I get that now.
It's like, okay, I have abandonment issues, so that's why I, you know, like, cling on.
Yeah.
Or something. You know what I mean? Or like,
overreact.
Yeah. Or I'm never the one that break up with someone. They always have to leave me.
Yep.
You know? And like, I'm always scared as soon as I get into a relationship. I'm always scared they're just gonna dump me.
Yeah, I get that.
You know?
And then you just are like, oh, this has to do with because of that time when I was 6. Oh, and this has to do with that time when I was 12. Right. Oh, this has to do with that time last month.
And it's crazy because it's like, you think, okay, abandonment issues. Immediately you think, oh, like, her dad left. Or like, her dad's not in her life.
Which is not your case.
It's like, I'm like best friends with my dad. Well, I will say, though, I'm still trying to understand why I have that I think that's still a conversation I'm having with myself. But I know, I mean, I love my father. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I forgive him and all that stuff. I realized, so background story. My parents divorced when I was 16. And within like a year or two, my dad remarried and had a baby on the way. And I love my younger siblings. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love my little brother. I love my little
so entertaining.
Like, and love my little sister. Yeah, like, I love them. Don't get me wrong. This is not just, you know. And I love my stepmom as well too. Like, I love that family. But you know, at 18 years old, all of this was happening, and it was like 2008, the recession.
Oof.
You know what I mean? So, and my dad got a job offer to go live in Michigan. And so it was either, you know, stay in California and not have a job, or go to Michigan and he'll have a job and have security. And also, like, he has a baby, so he's got to, like, provide, you know. So he went to Michigan with his new family. And at 18 years old, I thought, okay, it's fine. I'm a grown adult now.
Yeah. I'm 18.
I'm legal.
Yeah.
I'm independent.
I can vote.
I can vote for Obama.
Yes.
And I did that.
Hey.
And I could, you know what I mean? Like, I'm fine. I'm not a child anymore. But that played a part.
Yeah.
And it was the same time, you know, my parents divorcing, my dad quickly remarrying and, you know, moving away with just a brand new family, and I'm left at home with my mom, and I don't have a good relationship with my mother. And then, like, after my dad leaves, shortly after, like, my ex-boyfriend breaks up with me that I was with for like 5 years, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like such a loss. Like, it's like I had no man around that I felt like that could take care of me.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's what provide.
Stuff, yeah.
And that's where I think the independent in me came up, because I was like, oh shit. I can't
fight, flight, or freeze.
Right, because a man could leave.
Yeah.
You know, and although my dad always texted me every day, it's like, it's funny, I just have a long distance relationship with my dad.
Oh,
but like,
cool.
you know what I mean?
But
Like,
yes,
he
yeah.
texts me every day, like, I love you. He always felt bad, you know what I mean? Like, but he had to do what he had to do, and that's why I don't have any, you know, anything against his decisions, you know.
Yeah, it was a tough choice.
It was a tough choice, but
he owned up to it.
Exactly. And my dad's someone who, like, likes to be married and in a relationship. Like, my dad's also someone that just, like, doesn't really like to be alone. That's probably why
I was like, where'd you get that from?
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
So I think that's where I get that, you know what I mean? Where it's kind of like, okay, we gotta find somebody. We gotta find somebody quick. Yeah.
Where's my
you
person?
Know? Where's
my musical chair? I gotta find you.
Right, exactly.
This dance is over. Yeah.
Right, because it's like after, like, my mom, you know, they divorced. It was like he just needed to find someone right away, so he found my stepmom. He did quickly, and it was just like fast ever since, you know. So I think that plays a part, and also I was in such a serious relationship with my ex-boyfriend for 5 years, 15 to like 19, 20 years old, and like at that, anyone who knew us at that time were like, you guys are getting married. Like,
right.
You guys are like the perfect couple.
I remember you telling me that.
Everyone was like, it was not just Steph. It was not just Kevin. It was Steph and Kevin, or Kevin and Steph. It was like, we were a duo.
Yeah.
We were connected.
Yeah.
Kept step.
Kept Steph.
Yeah. And like, we were just very, very connected. And so when and also like he had, I don't even know how we got into this topic. Anyway,
no, because we're talking about mental health.
Okay,
we're talking about
I was like, how did we get here?
We're talking about all the trauma.
All the trauma.
That's the funny. See how you are, where you're like, how did we get here? And it's like, well, because we're reflecting on all the crazy shit we experience at very pinnacle ages. 18 is a huge age for anyone.
No matter if you're legal, you can vote. You're still so young.
You're very young.
And you're told that you're an adult, have this figured out. So you just
the
like
rudest thing.
So you feel like but no, like you're still so young and still
you're still a kid.
Right, and you still have so much
bad choices.
Right. And so. And you're old enough to really remember what's happening. You know what I mean?
But that's how we got here. Because we were talking about all this stuff, and then here you are realizing, like, oh, why I talk about boys so much. So, like, with this Kevin meant so much to you,
Mm-hmm.
and your dad meant so much to you, and then
Yeah.
suddenly gone.
And like, you know, my ex, his family, like, they had, you know, more money than my family. Not that we were poor, you know what I mean? But like, his family had money. His family had money. They were rich. And he literally, like, shopping sprees, picked me up. Like, they given me a car when my car was in the shop. Like, they just, like, paid for a semester of school. Like, literally, like, every time we go out to eat, like, he had his parents' credit card. Like, we were just set. You know what I mean? Like, we were kicking it with his parents' credit card.
Hell yeah.
It was cool.
I don't know what that's like. I've dated nothing but broke people. As a
But
high
it was
schooler.
like my first love. His family's rich. Like,
and-
I'm chilling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, at a young age, I'm just like, yeah, this is whatever. And I got so used to it, you know? So I got used to, obviously, my dad being there my whole life, and then him leaving, and then being in this relationship for 5 years is such a prominent young age that felt so serious. It felt like this was like a fucking lifetime, and I was so used to, you know, like, the security, you know? And then once that was gone and taken away, I was like, oh, I'm broke.
Yeah, I feel you.
So I
There's
had
like a hangover effect.
right. And so I had to get independent. I had to work for my shit. I have to fucking hustle. And I also felt just incomplete. So I just found myself in random men. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I get that.
tried to find myself in random men.
Yep.
And just literally, I mean, I've always, even before that though, I always was like someone, I always had a boyfriend, but it just obviously after Kevin and then turning 21
Steroids. It was that on steroids. Yep. 0 to 100.
and then BROKEGIRLTHERAPY, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what
What
came
it-
to be this.
Exactly.
So yeah, I don't know. That's my kind of journey to, I feel like there's probably more to my abandonment issues that I still have to figure out, you know?
And that's fine.
But I think those are two of the biggest factors of just like at such a fresh age, having two important men who were literally like my entire life, my providers, my support system,
Yeah.
being like, you know,
Just
like my dad went to a new family. So like, you know, he couldn't give me money if I needed it, you know, because we poor as fuck back then, you know, and so like he couldn't provide as much because he had to take care of the baby, you know. And I understood. I never made him feel like shit about it, but it was just like, okay, I can't really like go to my dad for money, you
it's
know.
still hard.
Yeah, and then obviously like my ex-boyfriend's fucking credit card wasn't something I could lean on to either, you know what I mean?
Right,
So
right,
it was
right.
just like all this like support was just gone, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it just kickstarts something within
It
you.
did. It kickstarted like, and you know, honestly though, like it feels like a sad story, but I'm training myself to look at it as like, well, you know what? I'm a dope person today.
I mean, honestly, we are beautiful collections of our scars.
Exactly.
Like, we are just like really dope testaments of, oh, we survived that.
Right.
Oh, we're doing all right. We're really
We're
cool.
like, okay, I actually wouldn't be the woman that I am today if I didn't go
Abso-fucking-lutely.
through all of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I always talk about that where I was looking at old photos from the summer of 2014, which in my mind was like the worst ever. And then I
Yeah.
was looking at it of photos that I had taken like a week or 2 weeks before I left for LA to just enjoy the rest of my life. And look at me, I'm great now because of it. But I was like, wow, I was smiling and laughing a lot. I don't remember that. I don't
'Cause
remember.
You always think of like the dark times.
Yeah,
sometimes.
but then I just also remember that like all my friends were championing around me because they were like, she's leaving. Rose is gonna go do what Rose wants to do, which is like go pursue her dream of being a writer in LA. Like she's just gonna go and do that.
Right.
But that's what happened. That's like what I always remind people
Right.
where I'm like, that was one of the worst summers of my very short life so far, you know. I'm about to turn 31. But
Birthday month.
31 on 31, my golden birthday. But like in this short span on this planet, like that was one of the worst summers ever. And then I'm like, but look at all this amazing stuff I gained from it. I gained my self-worth again. I gave myself respect again. And even after the traumatic thing that happened to me before I met Anthony, which was my rape and sexual assault, like I gained a beautiful, amazing relationship from it.
Right.
And again, I'm still processing that. Like, weirdly enough, like it's 2-year anniversary of it is this month. And I'm not trying to think of it because it's my birthday month. I don't want that thing to
Right, you don't want
ruin
that.
me.
Right.
But like, I think about it. But I also remember that like, I gained something really great out of it, and I'm still gaining things out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't happen over a day, a week, a month, year. It might happen a decade.
Right.
But there are beautiful things that happen and amazing breakthroughs and gorgeous moments of beautiful life that happen after traumatic things. You know, it's I can't even think of the like corny thing where it's like, you know, it's always the rainbow comes out after the storm or whatever. Yeah, the light at the end of the tunnel, you know, like whatever that is.
But it's true because like how, I mean, as sad as, you know, all of our experiences are, like, that's like what's the beauty of life though, right?
I mean,
because
right?
It's like how boring would it be if like everything was always just okay?
I mean,
we'd be basic ass.
Yes, we would. Actually, we'd probably be some basic ass hosts. But that's what I'm saying.
We'd just be like, okay, Julie, ha 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 ha, like we're fine. But
we're
like,
fine. But it's
that's
like
boring. We need that.
You
That's
need the
what
bittersweet.
That's what gives us substance.
Yes,
because it makes us understand. It makes us empathize. It makes us learn more about ourselves.
And that's the thing that we're missing as a society and a world, and that's why we're so divided, is because literally the major thing that can actually like bring us all together is we just need empathy. We really just need to be empathetic towards other people.
A lot of people lack that shit.
They don't, and I get it because they think they have to. I think
because they lived in a life that was so privileged.
Yeah, and I think that they think that being empathetic means they have to. Because we live in such a capitalistic world, they think that if I'm empathetic, then I have to give something up. There's no exchange. Like, empathy's free. No one wants anything else out of it. It's just be understanding, be kind.
And I feel like that's what's beautiful about the human life experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's understanding. Like, I love hearing people's stories and empathizing and try to understand. Because even if I didn't go through it, I learn by your stories of what you've gone through.
I feel you on that one.
You know what I mean? And like, I feel like that's what just makes us stronger as people.
Yeah.
It's like that human connection.
And like understanding like, oh man, like I've never gone through that, but I feel you. I'm here for you. Like that very corny, like I hear you, I'm on you. Like, but it's also, there's a gem of hope in that corniness where it helps.
Right.
You know, and you gain a sense of self-respect as well as respect for the other person without losing anything.
You don't lose anything.
You don't have to.
You gain
so much.
So much.
And to your point, you know, with the whole idea of like life, like I love life because there's so many downs in a weird way, you know, and
it just sucks to go through it.
Yeah, it's
painful.
Why the movie Inside Out by Pixar.
Oh my God.
The best. Brilliant. It's just like such a good, because you're like, oh, that's right. You can't have joy without sadness, and you can't have anger without this, and you're just like, I cry.
And you can't just be happy all the time.
No.
Because
like it's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
It is like, and
we should mix it up.
We should mix it up. I know. And I mean, that's like when I was so I just had like a down, like one of my like, as I call it, running from the basement to the attic feeling. And I was like talking to my therapist and I was like kind of getting mad at her. And she was like, oh, you're down right now. And I was like, yeah, I am. And then I was like, but I'm going to be up soon. Like, this is going to end soon.
Right.
Like, I realized, I was like, oh, this is going to be okay.
I'd be like, okay, so good is coming.
Yes, it is true. But you don't also have to do it in the reverse, though. Just because something's good doesn't mean, like, bad's immediately around the corner. It might be it might, like, be a descendant, or it might be, like, a slow, like, thing. But it doesn't mean it's, like, going to happen immediately. It's not like a light switch. Right. You know? It just happens. And life is full of yin and yang and balancing and everything. You have to have the bitter, the sweet, the good, the bad, you know, everything. Left, right, up, down, you know. Life is binaries that we have to balance.
Exactly.
And it's really important. And it's still hard to talk about, though.
It's very difficult.
It's very difficult because I also think it's something that sometimes we don't have the right words.
Yeah, or like, because we just don't understand, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like, you know, for certain things that I don't want to talk about, like the schizophrenia and specifically the schizophrenia part, like that it's like I cry because I just don't understand, and all I do is just feel bad.
Yeah. And that's okay,
you know?
though.
Right.
Because like with you were saying being in a relationship and being bipolar, like there's times, like this is really personal, but like there was a moment when I was in Seattle with Anthony and I just like, we kind of had like a fight. It was something stupid, of course, but I just turned around and I just screamed, I hate him. Like, I hate him. And, tears. I just said, I hate him. And Anthony knew exactly the him I was talking about. Like, I was like, I hate him. And Anthony just went, I hate him too. You know, it was just like a simple,
Oh my God.
you know, I know we can cry together finally. Look, I'm crying for like the first time in a really long time. But it was just like this really cathartic moment where it was so hard to tell him that this had happened to me. But then here he was still standing there being like, yeah, I hate him too. And then, you know, this is no shade to Anthony, but he knows it. He's not really good with emotions. You know what I mean? And that's fine. I love him because of it. But he just held me. He doesn't know what to say.
Less is more.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is that I talk too much, honestly. And for him, he just like literally, he just held me. And it just felt nice to just be like, I just need to get that off my chest. And I just needed to tell you, like, I fucking hate the man that, like, cracked me. You know what I mean? And he's in the same boat as me. He's like, I hate him too, you know? And that's sometimes what happens. And so I'll tell him, I'm like, I'm having a bad day. I'm having a low day. And he gets in, he's like, okay, cool. And then he sends me, like, stupid memes, you know? And sometimes that's, like, what it means, though, to, like, have, I've never experience anyone with schizophrenia. I had a friend whose brother was, and we've talked about it. And sometimes her whole thing was that she would just be there with him. And he would say things like, well, Charlie's sitting in the corner. And she's like, oh, what is Charlie? Like, she would play along with it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how that happens sometimes, but she was like being there with him, even though she couldn't articulate or knew how to handle it. It was just like, I'm here, the presence. And how that was so powerful, but also so hard for her. Because she's like, he's not aware that I'm here sometimes. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. I think, like, with my experience, it's like, I kind of wish I had, like, a calm, like, it was never calm. It was never, like, oh, like, someone's right there. It was always
intent, like, the
rage.
It
was, yeah. And also, like, this person's also bipolar along with it too.
That's a really heavy combo.
Oh, sorry, boogers are coming out my nose.
That's okay. Get my shirt all boogery. It's fine.
Boogery.
I love you.
Yeah, so it's just like, it was a lot of so when you're schizophrenic, there's paranoia. You know, you hear things, you see things that are not there, and you're convinced it's there. You know, because you see it, you hear it, and you know, this person assumed I was out to get them. So it's just
That's hard.
A lot of like yelling and like just saying a lot of really like fucked up shit, you know? And I'm like, this is not true. Yeah. And I got to a point where at first it would affect me, you know, I would cry and I would fight back and be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
You know? But then now when I get a text that's a paragraph of just a bunch of cuss words and telling me how awful of a person I am, I like, it doesn't even, it like when I read it and I have like no emotion.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm just like, oh, whatever. And I just like go on Instagram or something. You know what I mean? Like I just brush it off. I brush it off.
It's a horrible feeling. You don't want to carry that.
But it's like, so it's like one of those things. It's like I wish it was like, and every person's story, every story is different with someone who, you know, suffers with that mental illness. Just unfortunately, this person's just very angry.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's hard, Steph. That's really hard.
Yeah. It's difficult.
It is. So that's a lot.
But I'm happy to talk about it because it's like I need to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like this shit needs to be talked about.
Yep.
And the more that I talk about it, the less painful it is.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Just like you can feel it chipping away. You're like,
Right.
this is becoming lighter and lighter.
So I just have to cry, talk about it. But I know
Mourn,
sometimes like I'll have
process.
friends who bring it up, be like, so how so and so, and I'm like, I like was at a wedding once, and I saw this person's friend at the wedding. This family member's friend was at the wedding, and this friend knows what's happening. And he was just like, hey, like, I want to talk to you about so-and-so. And I'm like, after this shot.
Yeah, right.
And literally, like, he's like, oh, okay. So we would, like, literally take shots at the bar. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I would just wander off to somewhere else, you know what I mean? And then he would keep hunting me down, like, hey, I want to talk to you about this. And I'm like, what, another shot?
Yeah.
And I remember being 7 shots of tequila in. And he's like, why are you avoiding me? I want to talk about this. And I was like, why? And then I just like broke down at the wedding, like just like.
It's also an interesting place to like.
Right,
corner
and
someone.
this person was crying too. Like it's just just seeing that like it affects everyone around.
Yep.
It's
like a ripple. When you
Yeah.
drop a stone and it slowly affects.
Right.
And my mom also uses a really good metaphor, and I feel like it's the same thing where it's like, when I explode, I get it on everyone. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it hits everyone. It's like a paint bomb or something.
Right.
Like it affects you. You got hit by that.
Right. And I never want to blame him. I can never blame him. It's just like.
But it's hard because you're still angry, which is valid.
I don't even feel angry.
Okay.
I don't feel any anger or resentment
Okay.
towards this person at all.
I'm sorry I assumed that then.
Yeah. No, I think it's just more like I feel so bad.
Okay.
And I know
So
that
it's
like this person has a lot of anger towards me, obviously, but I think in the beginning I was like, why is this person such a dick?
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Because I didn't
understand.
know.
Yeah.
But now that I know and I understand, and I've watched hella YouTube videos, I've read on it, I've talked to people about it. Now that I understand this illness, I'm not angry. I have no anger or resentment towards anything he says. It's just or what who he is. It's just.
You just kind of feel
I just feel bad. It's like I feel helpless.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, how do I help?
Yeah.
And so, I don't. Then that's what I'm trying to do. Is like, how do I not feel so bad? But also, like my therapist is like, don't feel bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't
need
need
that.
Right. Like I don't know. Like we're still working through it, but it's just kind of like, you're right. I shouldn't be looking at it as like, this is a problem or this is, you know what I mean? It's just like, this is, I have to accept it as it is what it is. But now how can I help to make it better?
Yeah. Absolutely. How can I be there? What can I do?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. To make this relationship better.
Yeah.
So.
It's a long journey.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Still very fresh. Still going through it. But.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Glad
I
you're
love
able
you.
to
I'm
talk
proud
about
of
that.
you.
Thanks.
This is the first crying episode we've ever done. They're seeing a different side of us.
I think this is great. We're
It's
mature
beautiful.
as fuck.
Broken woman therapy.
Hey.
Oh man. Well, any last words?
Did that feel good?
That felt good.
You gonna keep my shirt?
I'm gonna wash it.
No, I'm gonna take it. I have a washing machine now.
Oh, you do? Can I come over and do laundry?
Yeah, absolutely. Her name is Gloria. I bought her. She's amazing. She's a tiny little washing machine. My mom, when I hang up, my mom's like, tell Gloria I said goodnight. I was like, I will.
Oh my god, how cute.
She's really tiny and amazing. So I guess that's like my passing.
Oh wait,
words.
I think I saw that on your Instagram. You have like
I
a little...
posted it. I have like a little shrine to her. She's I literally love that machine so much.
Right.
I always anytime someone's like, oh, I'm like, do laundry in my house. But yeah, passing words. Well, I think this was really interesting because we are coming from the two sides of the mental health. Like, you know what I mean? Like the family, the friends, and then like the person and what that means and what it looks like. And it's thick. It's not, we couldn't fit it in one episode, honestly.
No,
like, there might have to be a part 2 in like 4 or 5 months from now at some point.
Yeah.
A check-in. But I'm proud of you. And
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being so honest about it because it helps people like me.
Yeah.
feel okay about it. You know what I
I
mean?
got you, boo. And I mean,
I'm so tired of
honestly,
crying.
no, that's okay. And
But yeah.
I'm glad that helps, because sometimes I feel like my mental health is a burden. Like sometimes I feel like man, I don't want to, like, I don't talk about it a lot actually with my friends. I'll talk about it on like Instagram and like strangers. Right. Like I'll open up to strangers about it. But I always feel like I'm burdening my friends. I always feel like I'm bothering them, because everyone goes through their own shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially with COVID and everything. Everyone's dealing with their mental health is like a big thing now. My friends are like, I had a friend that was like, so what meds do you take? Because my therapist wants me to take meds. And I'm like, okay, let's go down the list. Buspars, Prozac, Xanax, Klonopin, all that stuff. So yeah, but like I guess this is a message to anyone who's listening who either is diagnosed or thinks that they have anything. It's like, it's fine. Like, you're just living life.
Right.
And
you're not a monster because of it.
Yeah. And
like, there's the stigma of like, you're a bad person, or you know what I mean? Or like, you're a burden or whatever. Like,
or you're crazy.
Or you're crazy.
It's just, it's a factor that just kind of sucks, There was a breakthrough I had with my dad where he like for a long time felt bad because he was like, I gave this to you. And I was like, yeah, but like, it's really made me funny. I mean, like, I hate, like, in a weird way, I feel like, because I'm constantly
it's made
like,
you who you are today.
It's made me who I am today. Yeah. And
that
like
rhymed.
we love Rose all day. But like, yeah, my depression sucks and I hate it sometimes, and I feel like it ruins my friendships and my relationships. But then I'm also like, it gives me such a weird sense of the world and a weird perspective. And it's like kind of fun being a depressed optimistic. You know what I mean? Like, it's a weird thing to be. It's an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense. But
it's good that you have a creative outlet,
Absolutely. I mean, like, what writer isn't, like, every famous writer that I admire and love, like, killed themselves. Virginia Woolf, Sylvia Plath, like, or like,
don't kill yourself.
I won't. I'm sorry. I'm not going to. Don't worry. Been there, done that. Not a fan of the. But anyways, but like, it's this idea and notion that like I'm a writer because of it, and I've like learned to love it and embrace it, and I want to help people, because like, you can't really do this alone. Honestly, you can't. As you know, as a family member of someone, you're not alone.
Right.
And there's love, always. Love is always going to be there,
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, again, the human experience that's so tough but so common.
Yeah. Empathy is important.
Exactly.
And patience.
Yes. And conversations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't imagine the clips you're going to use.
I don't like what clip.
It's this moment right here where I'm going to be like, this is a weird episode.
But I think it's important because they, hopefully we didn't bore you guys too much. But no, I don't even think, honestly, I don't give a fuck. I think this is an important conversation to have. I want to show range on the show. You'll have funny sex ones. You'll have the breakup ones or relationship ones. And you have the moments where this needs to be talked about,
Yeah.
And I feel like having a show, Broke Girl Therapy, why would I not talk about mental health? You know what I mean? Like, it's in the fucking title.
Yeah.
And it's what I do. I'm showing growth, so we've got to digest. And I feel like it's a way I want you guys to listen to our stories, but now reflect on yourselves.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I have these issues, and why is that? Because I feel like it's important for all of us to really just try to understand ourselves, because that's, at the end of the day, that's how we end up loving ourselves, is through that,
through all of that shit.
It's important to have this conversation, and to many more.
But yeah, if you want to talk further, I have a lot of great resources, especially in Los Angeles and the Seattle area. If you have a friend who thinks about, hurting themselves or suicide, I have a lot of resources and a lot of books about living with someone who is a loved one who has suffered from mental illness. So yeah, keep it talking, have empathy, be patient. Love is really dope.
It's fucking dope.
You're dope.
You're dope.
Oh, this is great.
Okay, plug yourself.
You can find me at thenewblogontheblog.com, which I haven't written in a while, but that's okay. Or you can find me at Rose_Etta Stone on Twitter and Instagram. Not much Twitter. I just kind of retweet. And then I think Sneakerheads is still streaming on Netflix.
You think?
No, because if this episode,
Definitely,
it still is. It's Netflix. Nothing ever falls off of that thing.
No, yeah. Especially if it's a Netflix original. Is it Netflix original?
Oh my God, it is. Yeah, it's up there. Sorry.
And then follow me, Stefanie Maegan, or go to BROKEGIRLTHERAPY.com. All that shit is there.
Boop, boop.
Ba-da-boop, boop, ba.
New merch soon.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Broke girl therapy.